We are all across this election, and it gets even more serious from here because there are just 26 days to go in this federal election. There are just 2 weeks until the first votes are cast. Now, the electoral roll closed an hour ago, meaning if you are not enrolled to vote, you will not be able to vote. If you are somebody who has not updated where you live and your details, again, you will not be able to vote where you live now. So double check all of that stuff, but it is all locked. In the next couple of days, I'll get the chance to actually have a look at the electoral roll. It will literally tell me how many people per seat. How many are 18 to 24? How many are 50 plus? How many are male? How many are female? All of this data, and it helps us start to work out perhaps where things go once you start to marry them on top of the electoral roll. But today, under the cover of a backflip, under the distraction of news poll, finally, the most unpopular premier in the country appeared with a Prime Minister who until recently had, 60% of people, now it's still above 50, but 60% of people saying he was doing a poor or very poor job. And it was just as awkward as you think.
Put them through. This one? Yeah. Here's Natalie.
And Minister Natalie Solomon's here.
Yeah, of course.
I was just going to ask you,
Sure.
Alan, if the Prime Minister goes backward in the state of Victoria on election night, do you feel responsible? Do you feel guilty about being a drag on the Labor vote?
Geez, if looks could kill. What about that last little glare that he's throwing? Of course, remember, the primary vote for the Labor Party is lower with women than it is for the Liberal Party, but of course it's the Liberal Party that has its problem with women. Peter Dutton today, well, he did the backflip. He changed on rules when it comes to public servants, and it was only ever public servants and their right to work from home. Sadly, that'll continue. As for the reduction in the public service, it won't be anyone who is currently employed. Instead, it'll be they won't be replaced over the next 5 years. That doesn't apply to anyone who is on the front line, but big changes today for Peter Dutton.
I think we've made a mistake in relation to this policy, and I think it's important that we say that and recognise it. And our intention always was to make sure that where taxpayers are working hard and their money is being spent to pay wages, that it's being spent efficiently.
I think it's a good thing. Much more to say about it in a moment or two's time, and then we'll discuss it. No sooks, no lefties tonight with blokes who will not miss. We will discuss that and a whole lot more. As for how the media spun things today, you may have noticed that I'm introducing this ever so slightly differently, because believe it or not, today the media was reasonably tough, or certainly they've gone from cuddles to now just a fist bump with the Prime Minister. This couple of weeks is going to be important because clearly the people who love to cover politics, they want a tighter race. So maybe that's why the questions were slightly different, but they were surprisingly kind of hard today for the PM.
Have you misrepresented the coalition's policy?
Sorry is not a word heard much from politicians. Prime Minister, is there anything you'd like to apologise for, such as not delivering the $275 reduction in power bill?
What percentage of your own staff do you allow to work from home?
Does this widen the gap on how much people pay by ensuring only the people that can afford these schemes have the ability to get their power bills down?
But relax, he did get a few softies.
Minister, we've seen stock markets crash around the world. There's fears of a global recession. If you remain Prime Minister after the election, how would you navigate that?
But the Prime Minister, uncomfortable with those, glaring questions about being reminded how unpopular the Labor Party is in Victoria. There are huge problems for them there. That could be the difference between the majority or the minority, and minority comes with it a whole collection of potential disasters. If it happens largely because of at least 4 seats that are expected, from the bookies to the pundits to the polls, that will drop in Victoria. Depending on the mistakes that Alan makes between now and the election, that could get worse. Of course, if they're able to somehow throw away the key, well, they might do a little better in the next couple of days. But there are big problems for the Labor Party in Victoria. Cos Samaras used to work for the Labor Party. He's telling us, and anyone who'll listen, you can see things nationally, but everything is, of course, 151 separate races, and there are state races within state races. So the power of the LNP, their high vote in Queensland, the Labor Party's low vote right now when it comes to Victoria. Lots of seats in those more populous areas. So no offence to the less populated areas, but even if it's just 1 or 2 that change, that's not going to be enough really to change the colour of the country, but it may well be the case when it comes to Victoria. As for Peter Dutton, relax. He still copped a tough time today. Of course, he was always going to, performing the backflip that he did when he did. But here are some of the questions, including one that he's answered, I think, 1,000 times, but why not ask it anyway?
Conveniently, you're in the city of churches. Will you be asking for forgiveness from female voters?
What's your message to South Australian voters, particularly in Boothby and Sturt, who are watching their retirement savings be wiped away today, who are worried about you becoming Donald Trump?
Peter, this is more than that. This is quite a backflip. I mean, this was one of your signature policies. If you're making this kind of a mistake during an election campaign, how can you be trusted as Prime Minister?